Here's a quick little video for StreamTeX to show you how you can go about modifying or creating a presentation using the slides mode based on information that you're going to provide to Claude. So you start Claude as usual, and then you're going to use the designer, StreamTeX designer, and then you'll ask it to update the presentation because, well, I took the default presentation, the template that was created when I did the standard steps. So I told it, basically, delete all the slides from this presentation. And then you need to create a complete presentation. So I told it a presentation of about 10 slides, with the goal of ultimately making a short presentation of the StreamTeX library. Actually, there's an error here. It should be a who. Capital X. This presentation should be appealing. You give it all the characteristics. Here, I'm telling it to use the user manuals for the presentation content. I'm showing it where it can go to find information. It can also go to GitHub, to the 3 GitHub repos linked to the library. I'm asking it to insert images, since I've put the API keys in my .env file so it can generate images using Google, OpenAI, and whatever else you like. I'm asking it here to generate 1 image per slide. Well, it's not necessarily the best design, but you can do whatever you want. I'm asking it to use colors to highlight important words, to make the presentation interactive where necessary, for example with buttons for GitHub, to insert BibTeX references to the GitHub repo, and then to show some LaTeX formulas or GraphViz diagrams. Then I tell it to be a bit salesy, to sell the library to people who aren't technical. Right, so there it goes. It's starting to read the information. So presumably, if you use Claude, you're somewhat familiar with this. So we let it work. It's gathering various bits of info from the cheat sheet, GitHub, existing blocks, and then it suggests a 10-slide presentation structure. The title, Why StreamTeX, with the challenge, introducing it to you, showing you the zero code aspect, and so on. So that's fine by me, but it's not asking me for anything specific right now, so it's just carrying on. It's generating the BibTeX, references to the GitHub repos or whatever else. And then he starts to write some StreamTeX. So here you can see the syntax that's used to build the different blocks. So I'll skip this because you'll see it when it's being used. And I'll find myself overall. Right. Insertion. We see the insertion here. So the presentation is a sequence of blocks. He updates it, he deletes the old blocks from the template, and he adds the blocks he's designed. So there we go. He's created 10 slides. He explains the content a little bit. And then it's finished. So now I just have to run the book, and I arrive at the beautiful presentation that was proposed with the slide template. And then, well, I can go from slide to slide. So we see that he's used image generation with the models. So here he explains, which is very interesting, that overall we could benefit from generative AI to design, modify presentations more easily than what we can do with PowerPoint, LaTeX, or Markdown or other web tools. And then here, so he shows you a possibility we've added to the library, which is that you have the option to insert editable images, and so to request the generation of an image, possibly change the prompt and generate another image that will match what suits you to illustrate the idea in this slide. So we'll let it process because the generation takes a bit of time. There we go. So here he illustrates the LaTeX formulas, and then he illustrates the graphs we can make with StreamTeX. There, that's quite representative. An idea, we use Claude, we generate StreamTeX, and we have HTML, PDFs, interactive apps. Here are the references that are here. And here we have the reference module, as you can see. So when we insert references into StreamTeX, well, people can, by hovering the mouse over them, have not only the reference, copy the reference, and open the link if we've given it a link. In this case here, it was a link to the repo as I'd asked it. There. Well, here he's doing a little demonstration that allows showing the interactivity. And then what is there? HTML export. And the last slide, the links. There. So, well, it's the first draft that Claude's making. And of course, the next step will be to move forward iteratively so that the presentation matches what you wanted as closely as possible. As you know, what you request, which was initially given to Claude, contains the most important information to ensure you're satisfied with what's going to be generated. And anyway, since we're working with generative AI, you'll inevitably find yourself making progressive iterations to reach a fixed point where you'll have your presentation that will satisfy you in a fairly quick time. There we go. Thank you. See you soon.